Hey guys, John here. Give me this big favor real quick. Smash that like button, smash the subscribe button. I have Rossie here, I have Alex here, and we are going to be doing a Godfather 2 review. If you enjoyed our Godfather 1 review, you're going to wait until you hear what's going to happen with our Godfather 2 review. Because I don't like to point fingers or anything like that, but someone didn't really like it. So this is going to be really interesting. So let's do this. All right.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, we're doing good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
That's good. That's good.
Just chilling.
That's good. Gonna eat some spaghetti. Gonna go ahead and have some macaroni.
Actually, I just made turmeric chicken. It's delicious.
This sounds really good.
You got to be
Ooh,
careful though, because if it gets on your clothes, it's stained forever.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what. You do not want to get when you make spaghetti. You won't want that stuff to stick to the pot. I'll tell you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the cooking tips, guys.
You're very welcome. So, with that being said, we're actually going to be doing our Godfather 2 review. Like I said, we're going to be talking about Godfather 2. So, whenever this movie opens up, you're expecting to see Michael Corleone and everything right where we left off at. But instead, we wind up seeing a funeral instead.
Right.
So, my first initial thoughts whenever I first saw this for the very first time, because I've seen this over 100 times, but my first initial thoughts was like, what the heck is going on? I thought this was a sequel. I thought that this was supposed to be Michael and everything, and then you're wondering, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, Vito is hiding out from this other mobster because this other mobster wants to kill him because he killed his dad, so basically he's killing his whole entire family.
Right.
So then of course we wind up finding out that how Vito became the Godfather, the dawn of his of that generation, and how he rose up from that. So it's a prequel mixed in with a sequel, and it goes back and forth. It's kind of like the Indiana Jones movie of that time period, because there was an Indiana Jones film, I forgot which one it was, where they go back and forth from a young Indiana Jones to an old, from the present day Indiana Jones. So it's a prequel within a sequel on that one, so that's how I actually relate back and forth to it. But the opening sequence alone was really good. You're on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen or not.
Right.
So what was your initial thoughts when you first saw it opening up in 1901 in a funeral and everything, and then of course Vito being on the run?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. You know, we're opening with the funeral. What is this about? But I'll jump to the part where obviously it's Vito, and he's the sorry, our alarm went off. Sorry, guys. Anyways, you're at the funeral and you realize that it's a young Vito, and I guess they want to kill him. So you see the part where their mom is going and pleading with the Don or the mob boss at that time to save, her son Vito. And I really thought they were going to kill the little boy until the mom, has the knife and she's going after the Don of that time. And dude, they shoot her in the freaking head. At that point, with a shotgun. I was just shocked. Can't wait to dive into this story. It was a great opening, and obviously at that point you're like, oh my freaking gosh, like this is how we're getting started. So I enjoyed the beginning, and yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I really liked the beginning too. I thought it was a good start. I already knew that it was going to be like a prequel, sequel type of thing, so it wasn't so off-putting. But it just started off like the last movie ended, just cold-blooded. It was like, oh, he just shot his mom right in the face. You better run. That little boy had wheels for days. He was gone, and I was so nervous for him to not be found, for him to be found, that he was going to be found. I was just like, I know he's going to make it out, but there's still that possibility of what if he doesn't, and this is someone else. This isn't Vito Corleone. What if Vito Corleone's just another little boy watching all this happen from his window? Like, I don't know, but that was a tense beginning, and I was looking forward to seeing how the going back into the past of a young Vito Corleone was going to work alongside the present day with Michael Corleone. So that got me excited for the rest of the movie.
Right.
Same here, because here's the thing: you don't expect the funeral, you don't expect that whole entire opening, and then of course, yeah, Vito is. We know that Vito is going to be fine because of course we saw Godfather 1, but there's that same danger aspect that I appreciated with it, where you didn't know what the outcome was going to be for young Vito
Right.
and everything, but then you see him going into America and trying to fit in as an illegal alien and
Right.
trying to figure out what he was going to do for the rest of his life. And then you see Michael reminiscing probably about his father, about how he started up, and wondering the decisions that his father had to make at that time.
Right.
And it's about the rise of the new generation, while
Right.
the old generation is dying off,
Right.
which is the Vito's generation.
Right.
But
Go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say that, being that I didn't know that it was going to be like a side by side movie, telling two stories at the same time, I do have to say that with Vito seeing what happens to his mom and experiencing that, you get that at a young age, he's introduced, or probably even before that, but just the violence. So you're
Mhm.
not surprised by what he grows up to be, and just so, yeah, that scene alone with that little boy seeing that happen to his mom, you're not surprised by the way his life ends up being.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then, another thing I want to bring up before we go, bring it back over to Alex real quick too, was this. Now, whenever he goes into New York City and he's registered as Vito Corleone in 1917, he also lives in New York with his wife Carmela and their infant son San Antonio. Now get this, he actually winds up losing his job to the interference of Don Fanucci.
Right.
And everything. And so basically, he winds up losing his job because he wants to put his own nephew in that position of where Vito is working at. And so, therefore, the manager winds up telling, Vito, "Hey, look, we're gonna have to go ahead and let you go." And I like how how Vito is like, "Okay, I understand." He was the most calm and collect and smooth
Right.
person, because you
Yeah.
can't really read him. And that's something
Right.
that I really liked about his character. Even whenever he was an old man, it was hard for you to actually read how Don Corleone was, because he had that calm, collect type of thing. And then as soon as somebody leaves, that's whenever he lets you know how he really feels about something.
Right.
Especially that whole entire business deal with the olive oil
Right.
and stuff like that. Once the mob boss of the other family winds up telling him about what he wants to do with the heroin and stuff, he said, "Look, this is not a business for me."
Right.
So, and of course he winds up walking out the door, and then after that, that's when Don really gives in to Sonny and everything else.
Right.
So it's the same thing over here. It's hard to read Don Corleone if you think about it.
Right.
What I really liked about those sequences, one, I thought the actors they picked to play the younger versions of like Don Corleone, Clemenza, and Tessio.
Tessio. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought they looked spot on. Like that's them, but younger. It's so cool, especially let me pull it up real quick. Guy who plays as Clemenza, I think it's Bruno Kirby. Like
it's Bruno Kirby.
he looked fantastic. I was like, that's Clemenza. Oh my gosh, that's him. That's the actor's son playing as him. Just how similar they were.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed Robert De Niro as Vito Corleone.
Me too.
I thought he also had all the mannerisms down. Like I like
Yes.
that touch where he will do that thing with his cheek when he feels disrespected. I'm like, oh, he even has that down. That's so cool. So that part of the story I really enjoyed exploring Vito Corleone's childhood. I always like that rise to power story to see how someone builds himself up. And then Don Corleone, even though he's a gangster, he's still a likable character because he's not outright cruel like all the other mobsters. Like he has a sense of morality, a sense of honor, a code of honor that he follows. And it just makes you like him. Like I would hang out with Don Corleone. He seems like a chill dude.
Right. I like the fact that the way that they shot when they're, you're looking back on Don Corleone's life, when they're going through his life, everything is in the language, the
Italian.
Yeah, no
Mhm.
subtitles, which I appreciate. So you kind of had to understand and kind of figure out what it was they were saying and what they were talking about just by hand movements and gestures and all that. So I
Oh, you
did
didn't have
appreciate that, you know.
Oh, so you didn't have subtitles on yours?
Oh, sorry, no, I didn't. The version I watched had no subtitles. Did you?
You had,
Is
Wow.
there subtitles, guys?
did you have the VHS version or?
No, I watched it on this movie flick channel I have, and I watched on. Are there subtitles, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
It's weird how some apps, for some reason, like I've noticed this. It depends on the movie and the service you're getting it from.
Yeah,
Sometimes they'll have like subtitles in it. Like I forgot what movie I was watching the other day, but there's a scene where people are talking in a different language, and
yeah,
there's normally subtitles, but for some reason in this version there wasn't. So I'm just like, oh, I guess I just gotta read their body language. Like, oh, he's doing this, he's pissed off. Like,
yeah. That's what I did, guys. There were no subtitles, so I'm like rewinding to watch the hand gestures and everything, and figuring out like none. And I thought to myself, wow, how authentic they're being. They're not even telling us what they're saying. Like they want us to like figure that out. I watched 3 hours and 22 minutes of this film with no subtitles, none whatsoever. So I would rewind to get the gestures or and I'm like, oh, okay, he's upset about something or he's telling them something. All right, well, okay.
Okay. So I'll help you out with this one, with some of the scenes though, since you didn't have subtitles. So there is a scene where basically Robert De Niro is trying to hustle the Don over there.
Yes.
And basically he's telling his guys, Clemenza and Tessio, do not pay. He wants $200 from us.
Right.
And so he says, but we're not going to do that. And he goes, wait, this is the mob boss. What do you mean we're not going to give him what he wants or anything?
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to give him $50 each, and he's going to take it. And Don Corleone, and then of course they're like, how are you going to do that? He goes, I'm going to make him an offer that he can't refuse.
Wow.
So he winds up doing this. He winds up, and now Alex has me doing it, but he winds up doing this. He tells him, look, times have been hard. I've been hit hard and everything, and this is all that we can get from our business, our side business that we've been doing. So all I can give you is $100 from us. And he looks at, and he covers up the hat at first when he gets the money. He knows it's light, and then he looks back at him, goes, what's up with that? And that's, of course, when he breaks it down to him, that's all that he can give him. He goes, but I promise you that I'll give you more whenever we get paid again. So, the Don at that time was like, okay, not a problem.
Right.
I'll take the money and that's it. So basically that's what happens. The whole play thing was about how Don found his wife. Whenever he's talking about his wife and stuff like that, and she's on that stage play.
At the play. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's Vito meeting his wife, and of course his friend is also telling him this too. He's like, girls like that don't come around too often. He goes, no, they don't, basically. So that's whenever he decides that that's who he wants to be with. So I'm just trying to give you some context in between the hand movements and stuff like that, so you actually know what they're doing. Right. And also, too, it also goes into the whole entire thing of them reflecting back on the brothers, though, too. Especially when we look at Fredo, as well, into his stuff. But yeah,
yeah. I got the, obviously, because you see the wife in the play, and eventually you see her as his wife, and then the part where they're at the olive oil business, where Vito is sitting down, and the guy, that comes in there with the hat and the money and all that, in that whole conversation. Okay.
All right. All caught up.
Okay.
That was I'm sorry, that was funny. That's so messed up. Like, there's a whole really long scene, and then they just didn't give you subtitles. Like,
None.
Sorry, you're just gonna have to guess.
None. Yeah. So obviously, you figure it out, you know what I mean? But yeah, no subtitles. I don't know what they were saying. I just had to figure it out.
That's crazy. That's messed up. That's hard for this movie because that was a really good scene. I like that whole setup. Like, I'm just gonna give him a little bit of money. He's gonna take it, and then he just follows dude home, and then shoots him
On the roof. Yeah, he
on the
falls in
roof.
during the
That
parade.
was a cool scene.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
how it was
Yeah.
tracking.
right,
I loved how they filmed it. He was just on the Robert De Niro's on the roof like Assassin's Creed, and then they're just slowly like just pan shotting him.
when he's
What's
shouting
that
out
mob boss's
everyone,
name?
you know, the gold tooth, the
Gold
hat, and he's
Tooth,
just walking through the
yeah.
crowd and saying hi to everyone, not realizing that when he gets to his apartment, you know, you're gonna be dead, and how at the end of shooting him, and the look on his face when he looks at Vito and says whatever he says to Vito, you know, like, hey, and then he
What you
shoots
got
him,
there?
you know, yeah, what you, yeah, and he shoots him, and it's like, okay, so you do understand that at that point Vito is taking over, you know, he's taking over that spot. So you know, you get that, and how he's on the roof and he, you know, ditches the parts of the guns and each chimney and all that. And yeah,
I liked that touch, how he just
yes,
started taking apart the gun and
yes,
putting it down the different pipes.
right,
Oh, that
right,
was so cool.
right.
Fanucci, thank you, John. Don Fanucci.
Gucci, forget
Yeah.
about it.
Okay,
But yeah,
okay,
He just shot him while the fireworks were going off. And I'm
yes,
like, if you're gonna assassinate someone,
right,
I'm not saying that you should assassinate people, but in a hypothetical situation, if you're assassinating someone with a gun, do it during fireworks.
right.
perfect setting.
Boom.
But you know what though? I like how he destroys the gun though too.
Yeah.
Like he goes on the roof, he goes and slams that gun down,
Right.
breaks it, puts it down the chimney. All I could think was, what are people going to think whenever they look inside their
Yes.
fireplace? And
Right.
could you imagine like an old lady who hasn't been down to the Italian festival? It's like, hey, what's going on over here? What's going
Right.
on? Why is there a gun in my fireplace? What's
Right.
going on? Whoa!
Why isn't my
Right.
chimney working? What
And I was thinking that too, like, okay, so these people are gonna go and find little pieces of gun, you know, in their chimneys, you know, in their fireplaces. So yeah,
Right.
love that scene. I love that
And then-
takeover.
And especially when he wraps whenever he wraps the cloth around the gun and
Right.
everything, and he shoots him,
Muzzles,
and then
yep.
to silence it.
Right.
That was actually pretty cool to muffle it. And then, of course, you also see the repercussions behind it whenever he burns his hand because of the
Right.
gun fire. That was actually pretty cool to have a little bit of realism into it, where it's not just fictionalized. And then another thing that winds up happening too is whenever someone winds up getting whacked too, so they wind up wrapping this one person up in a carpet to try and sneak them out. So that was actually pretty funny too.
In the carpet industry. For some reason, I really wanted a rug after watching this movie. The scene where they're stealing Don Fanucci's rug, I was just like, I want a rug now. Like, I have nowhere to put a rug in my house, but it's just like, gosh darn, that's a nice looking rug. I gotta talk to my wife. Like, let me get a rug. Hi, Brandy.
Hey,
thanks for joining.
Yes. But yeah, I thought that the rug scene was actually pretty funny, especially when the cop comes knocking on the door when they're trying to get rid of the body.
Right.
And he's like, what is this? Oh, it's just a rug. They wanted me to go get rid of it. Oh, okay. Just puts it in the thing and that's it. Puts it in the back of the car and that's the end of it, and they drive off. But then you also have we finally get to see Michael in present day.
Right.
And Michael is going through some stuff with the Nevada stuff, with the casinos and things like that, because then at the very end of The Godfather 1, you know, we know that he's moving into Nevada territory.
Right.
For the casinos.
Right.
And of course, it's also hit a birthday party that's happening and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden at nighttime, you wind up seeing gunfire happening. Dogs are out on the loose trying to look for the people that were shooting at Michael and Kay.
Because someone left the window open, and I was just like, you know, the when that scene happened, because it's you know, little Michael's, you know, birthday party and all that. And, you know, at that scene, you get to see the sister from, you know, part, you know, 1 and where she's at and, you know, catching up with everyone. But when that scene happened, when, you know, Kay's laying in bed, it's like, Michael, who left the window open? And, you know, and they start shooting him to take him out. obviously, I'm like, who the fuck would set him up? It has to be someone at the house. But I wasn't thinking that it was Fredo.
Right.
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
right.
Bro, I kind of saw something coming. Like I was like, oh, Fredo wouldn't just outright betray Michael. He probably just like agree to something stupid. That's
right.
what I always expected. Was Fredo the one that opened the window? Did we ever figure that out, or he just contacted the people to let him know?
He had to have, because he had to be at the
Mhm.
who else at the house would
Well,
leave the window open? What do you think, John?
well, here's the thing. Remember whenever he's in Cuba or where he's at, he winds up telling Michael, "Hey, look, I didn't know they were going to whack you or anything. I didn't know it was going to be a whack or anything like that." And he basically that's BS. He said
Right.
he's then why did you go to those people that you said you didn't go to
Right.
and say that, where the communion party was going to be at? Why did you do what you did if you didn't know it was going to be a whacking? So he knew. I think he knew. To
I
be
like the
honest with you.
scene where the scene where Fredo's in bed and and he and his wife is in bed. And what I love about that scene is the sheets and the blankets are all silky dark black. The bed is black. So, after that shooting happens and they show Fredo, it's like you're looking at evil. Everything is black in that scene. And he gets that phone call and he doesn't, and that's when you realize, okay, he's involved because, the conversation he's having on the phone is, why are you calling me? You told me you wouldn't call me. Don't ever call me at this phone, this number anymore. So at that point, for me, not seeing this film again, that's when I'm like, oh my gosh, Fredo was involved in leaving a window open. Like, but the bond that they all have, why would he want to be involved with offing his brother?
Mm-hmm.
But then you find out why, though, because
Right.
they always, even whenever he was first born, you
Right.
could see Vito looking at his son and wondering if this was going to be the heir for his whenever he winds up retiring.
Right.
You can see it in his eyes, and then you wind up finding out that he's very fragile because of the fact that he has pneumonia, and at that time, I think that Vito probably saw him as weak as a baby, which is not the baby's fault that he has pneumonia, but that's probably why he second guesses Fredo and everything, and why he wasn't accepted as to Sonny, who was actually the more of the
aggressive one.
Yeah, and Michael was more of the was basically more of the thinker.
Right. And to find out that Fredo's older than Michael, so you would think, well, Fredo being upset because he felt like he like he said, he's the one that goes to the airport. He goes and picks people up. He goes and does like the little menial jobs, and he's the older brother to Michael, so he should have been, next in line. But when you see him born and you see the cupping that they're doing, because I looked it up so I know what they were doing, and come to find out that's how they, would heal. If being that Fredo was born with the pneumonia, they did the cupping on him. So, okay, at that point you realize, you put it together. Okay, like you said, he's weak and he's always been looked at as weak. But I get how upset he is because after Sonny, he was supposed to be the next one in line. Michael was not supposed to be. So, yeah, there is some, resentment there with Michael.
Right, and jealousy.
Jealousy, yes.
Mm-hmm. Like at the same time, what I like about his character is it made it obvious to me why he wasn't chosen, because he wasn't such a screw up. He was not to say that he was weak because he was sick as a baby or anything.
Right.
I was just looking at his actions as a grown man. He was always he was the one partying. He was the one that was kind of just too soft when it came to protecting his father when the dudes in the first movie started shooting at him.
Right. He balled up, didn't he?
It was just looking at his actions, and I was like, that's why you weren't picked, Fredo. Like, that's why you got to pick people up at the airport.
Even then, he couldn't do that right.
When he's with you. That's why you're not promoted.
But dude, even then, he couldn't do that right. Because remember whenever they're at the New Year's party, and this is actually whenever we get introduced, after we get introduced to Henry Roth's character
in Cuba, right?
Right. and he thinks that he's going to live forever. This guy, and stuff like that. He goes, and he reminds me of my Uncle Charlie because he's also Italian. He goes, just look at me. I'm going to be young. Look, the doctors told me. You know what, Angelo? I have good bones, and he said I'm very strong, and I'm going to live forever. And so this guy kind of reminds me of my Uncle Charlie a little bit, but. He's kind of the cake thing. Of course, he also feels insulted because of the fact that Michael didn't bring the $2 million or anything like that. Right. But if you remember at the New Year's party, whenever it was supposed to be Fredo's first time meeting this one person, remember that?
Meeting the okay.
Johnny Ola.
Okay.
It was supposed to be Fredo's first time.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
So Michael is standing there behind them.
Right.
And Johnny looks at Fredo, and Fredo looks at him, and basically, I think Fredo or Johnny winds up saying, "Hey, do you remember that club that we?" He goes, "Yeah, we went to that
Fredo
club."
Said that.
Yeah,
Fredo was the one that was reminiscing. Yeah, Fredo was saying, "Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
y'all
right."
Just met today. I'm like, "Oh, gotcha. You just snitched on yourself. How do you do that?"
Right.
Right.
He couldn't even lie, right?
Kind of, listening and quiet as he is. But yeah, that's right. Because I remember when Fredo had mentioned Johnny, and Michael kind of looked at him and then looked back at his guy, like, yeah. See, like I'm putting it like it's my brother. Yeah, it was my brother. Yeah.
That part broke my heart. It was just like I knew I kind of have a feeling Fredo was going to be the one to do something like that, but it's just like watching this family fall apart in this movie. Right. It was just hurting my soul.
Right.
It was, especially how Michael. If you look at Michael and the way the camera's actually shot when he's in that room when you have the sister pleading with him.
Oh, to talk to
Fredo whenever his mom dies. We're skipping a little bit, but we're getting to the. We'll go back in a minute, but to me. If you look at the shadows, that shows the darkness that Michael's actually in and resembles the darkness that's in him.
Yeah,
and especially when Kay comes and visits and wants a kiss from her son, Anthony, and she goes, "Come on, give your mama a kiss," and everything. And you see basically Al Pacino's character, you see Michael just stone face.
Right.
And then shuts the door in front of Kay's face again for the second time.
Right.
It's like how he shut the door in her face in the very end of Godfather 1. So it's very reminiscent to Godfather 1.
True.
But it also goes to show you how imperfect Michael is whenever he wants to whack somebody. Because of the fact that he didn't set that up right to be able to, like he did in Godfather 1. He did that perfect execution. With Roth's character and everything, he was actually hard to get through.
Right.
And everything. And especially whenever the bodyguard winds up going into the hospital bed trying to kill him. And then he gets shot.
Yeah.
It's just devastating because of the fact that nothing he planned went right.
I was confused by that too, because when they're setting that up, at first when the bodyguard goes up in the room and he puts the guy in a chokehold, at first I'm thinking it's the old guy. And I'm like, wait a minute, how is he, he has so much vigor in him, he's fighting. And so I had to rewind it back and realize, oh, that was his bodyguard. Okay, so he's trying to get to dude to kill him and then gets caught trying to smother the guy and he gets shot. So I'm just surprised by that because Michael fucked up. Like, how are we going to fix this? Also, I want to go back to the scene for the New Year's when he grabs Fredo and gives Fredo that kiss, and Fredo kind of looks at him and he lets Fredo know, "I know it was you." And Fredo takes off and he's running away. At that part, I thought, oh God, he's getting ready to kill Fredo, and I was surprised that he didn't do it. So I thought maybe, okay, it's his brother, so he's going to let it go until obviously later on you find out. And also the comment that Michael made later on when he told the guy, like, don't do anything to him while my mother's still alive. And I'm like, are they going to show that? Are we going to get to the mom dying? Like, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw that he gave him that kiss, I'm like, oh, there he goes. Let me just cross Fredo off the list. He
Yep.
lasted a lot longer than I thought he would. But I was like, oh, that's a wrap for you, dude.
Right.
And then what's his name? Hyman Roth.
Hyman Roth.
He was annoying in this
Yeah.
movie. I was like, I don't know what this guy's deal is. I don't know what, like, him and Michael have like this relationship going on, but he needs to. I need someone to whack him real soon.
Right.
Fortunately, we get it, but
Right.
Not early like you wanted.
No.
yeah,
He lasted way long.
I'll agree with you. Hyman was actually the annoying character out of this whole thing because of the fact he's so cocky as an old man in his 70s or 80s, thinking that he's going to end up living forever.
mm-hmm.
But like I said, he reminds me of my Uncle Charlie. But, but you know, I think that the Hyman Roth character needed to go right at the very beginning. But I'm glad that you see the imperfectness of Michael and the stuff that he's doing, and then you see how later on, and when Bo kills the mob boss, about how smooth that went,
right?
Versus that,
Right.
and what I mean by the mob boss, I'm talking about the one not in Sicily yet, but the one in New York, and how smooth that went.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then you also see how Vito also conducts business.
Right.
Because remember, another thing too is this poor woman who's about to get evicted from her apartment, and they're talking in Italian, but and this is what winds up happening. He winds up telling him, "Hey, look, how much does she owe you?" Going through his money, goes $5. Basically, is what her rent up went up. I think $5.
That cheap.
Me too.
Right. Right.
Time to pay rent. $5. I'm like, I have that. I have that.
Pay it up for a year, 2 years,
Right?
years.
But here you go. But then Vito, he goes, look, and the cat stays. The animal stays. No deal. He said the cat stays. Gives him his whole entire money off the clip. Then he goes on it. He goes, you can ask anybody in my neighborhood and how well I'm respected in my neighborhood. And they'll come back and tell you that I'm a stand-up guy. And then I like how he goes into the shop where Vito is. And they're having trouble with the door anyways. Even his own people are having trouble with the door.
Right.
But he thought he was going to get whacked in that store.
Right.
He's like, let me pay my respect. Hey, man, take your money. I'm sorry. She can live there. She can have all the animals she wants. I'm sorry. Love you. Love you. I'm just going to head out now.
And I like how they're looking at each other, laughing at the guy, because the guy knows he's going to get whacked. You see Michael or Vito looking back at dude standing up there, and they're etching on, you know, the olive oil stuff, and the guy's trying to get out of the freaking shop. And I was wondering, what's up with the door? Like, are they purposely, are they getting ready to whack this guy? And come to find out, no, the door just has a freaking problem. But I thought the dude was going to get killed.
I didn't think so. Here's the thing: when Vito's over there just smiling, because here's the thing with mob bosses, even Tony Soprano does it. He just sits there, chills, and just watches what's going on, because he likes to be intimidating, and also for someone to fear him, but love him, but yet also fear him.
Okay.
So, and that's what he's doing. He's playing a game with him.
Right.
There's a scene on The Sopranos where basically the next door neighbor, he winds up going, and of course the next door neighbor's a douchebag because he's making fun of him because he's Italian. So Tony goes on ahead, wraps a pound of sugar in a brown bag, wraps it up in this wine pastry kind of box. He goes, "Hey, come over here." He goes, "What?" He goes, "Hey, I need you to go on ahead. I need you to watch this for a couple of days." And he goes, "What?" And I'll call you when I need it. He goes, "What is it?" "I can't tell you what it is. I'll call you whenever I need it." And then it goes over to the counter with the guy next door neighbors and his wife. And he winds up, and they're looking at the pastry of this thing that's wrapped up. He goes, "You know, what is it?" He goes, "I don't know. It could be a bomb. I don't. Should we open it?" "No, I don't think we should." And then also the end of credits for The Sopranos on that episode, but it was actually a pretty funny bit. So, you know, mob bosses have a way of having this dark humor because they like to be, you know, they actually like the whole entire aspect of someone fearing them.
Right.
So that's what he got.
Right.
So
It's something that I was thinking about because after I watched this movie, just going away from the prank for a bit. Oh yeah, that does sound funny. I need to start watching Sopranos. I should probably get on that. I'm a few years late, but
Same here. Same
better
here.
late than never. But anyway, I after watching this movie, I was trying to figure out like what was the point of the two different timelines. But I think, and I'm thinking, as you know, we're talking. I think it has to show how much Michael forgot, like what it meant for the family to be in this type of business. Because, like with Vito, he he was a gangster. He did kill people, but it was all for like the good of the community. He
Right.
wasn't. He was like there was always something. It was for to keep his family safe and fed and protected. He would keep the people in his neighborhood happy and just have everything running smoothly. Like it was more of a selfless gang than anything. Whereas in Michael's case, he's very lost in the business itself. It's all for him. Like he's very focused on himself. How can he get himself more power? But at the same time, his family, like his wife, his kids, his brother, like everyone's turning away. Like he's pushing everyone away. Like everything that makes him human, that made Don Vito so beloved, he doesn't have. He's too much of a robot. That one that one idea. I think that's why when it has that flashback with him and like Sonny and Freda, everyone at the birthday party ready to surprise for Don Vito's surprise birthday party, and just ends with him sitting there by himself. I think that's supposed to represent him in power of the Corleones. Like he's like he runs the business, but he doesn't have family left.
Right.
That's kind of what I got.
Right.
I can definitely see that because Michael definitely got lost with the power.
Yes.
He didn't know how to keep the balance between the two, like with Vito. And he was not very calm and collect like Vito either, especially when you have Hyman Roth, and then you also have the, let's see here, what's the other guy's name that I'm trying to think of?
Johnny
the one
Ola?
that, no, not Johnny Ola. It was actually the other guy with the mustache that...
Oh, the one that got away that they tried to kill and...
that was Frank
something.
Pantangeli.
There
Frank
you go.
Pantangeli.
There you go.
Yeah, with Frank and everything, with Frank's character, we find out that it wasn't Michael that was trying to kill him, but he thought that he was trying to kill him, and now he's trying to testify against Michael and trying to rat out the whole entire mob.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you see Michael there, and then he changes his tune. Oh, I made it all up.
Right. That look that his brother gave him, because at first I didn't realize that was his brother. And I just noticed that when he saw Michael, obviously there's going to be some fear. But then, like, as soon as he looks at who I now know is his brother, the look they gave, and it was like obviously the brother's talking to him, like don't do this. Like you don't want to do this. And they show that long stare, and he turns, and it's like Frank realizes, I'm not doing this. I'd rather go to prison than to do this. So. And now everything is, I made it up. I was just upset. I was upset at Michael. And, he goes to prison, But, yeah, that scene was really poignant for me. Just that stare that they gave each other was just like, yeah.
Well, this goes also what Alex was talking about with that power. Because remember, he said, because even his own brother says, hey, look, why do you want to go after these people still?
Right.
He said, these people are on the run now. There's no reason for you to try and whack them anymore.
Right.
You have Frank Santangeli, who's in prison. You have, of course, you wind up having Hyman Roth on the run.
Right.
So you have these people afraid. You won, Michael. You won without even having to pull a trigger.
Right. And Roth couldn't get into any country. Remember, he couldn't get into Panama. He couldn't get. Right. He couldn't take refuge anywhere. Yeah, like running.
Exactly. So, I thought that was also something that was part of Michael's problem was the power, but also power for revenge whenever it didn't need to be happening anymore. But I can also understand in a sense because of the fact that it was about his son and his wife that could have gotten killed at at the Christian for the baptism and everything,
Right.
for the communion.
Right.
So I can understand that, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you won, Michael. Look, go ahead and do this. What do you gain from this?
Right.
Right.
So I understand from Tom's perspective
Right.
as his concierge
Right.
and everything. So I understand where he's coming from with that. And then, of course, we wind up finding out too, where you wind up finding out that that Vito winds up going back. No, this is another flashback where he winds up whacking the person that had that was basically the reason why he was on the run.
Right. The guy in Italy, right? The guy that he got
Right.
that he got
killed
it. Oh
his
my
mom,
gosh,
his
that was
pops,
just
his brother.
right. That was just brutal, and I didn't realize that was the guy that was responsible for killing his mom. I totally forgot all about that happened. So I didn't catch it until later on, realizing, oh my god, that's why he did that. But he gutted that guy, and yeah, I was not expecting that because I didn't put those two together. Yeah, not at all until afterwards, and it's like, oh, okay, so he went back and settled score.
Right. So, what I know, Alex. What are some of the things that you didn't really like about it, though? That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah. So when this movie ended, I was just like, that was 3 hours of my life gone. And I want to make this very clear. I don't think this is a poorly made movie. Like I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it wasn't for me. Just in terms of the story, I thought it was heartbreaking for me to see, Michael, who is at this position of power, just lose it all. Like he just broke down. Just his wife, his kids probably kicked out of. Did he kill his wife?
No, he didn't kill his wife.
He just had her kicked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
He just had her kicked out his wife. His kids, I assume, hate him. He had to kill his own brother. His sister's off doing God knows what.
Right.
So he's just sitting there alone. That made me depressed. And stories like movies that leave me ending like just, I don't have a lot of care.
I get what you're saying, though, man.
And also comparing it to the first movie, which was phenomenal. What I liked about the first movie, it was like one big chess match, and like you had the gangsters and then the bad gangsters, and it was just like they would hit each other. They were just hitting each other, just out whacking each other in each turn. It was like, oh my gosh, so exciting! Like it was exciting. Whereas in this movie, it was just like, okay, I'm gonna try to whack this guy. Oh, didn't work. All right, they're gonna try to whack me. Oh, didn't work. and then it's just like, well, let's just stare at each other and talk about money for a bit. It was just like not
and the political stuff though too, probably.
Yeah,
too.
the political stuff, like that stuff was interesting, but it didn't have that same I didn't have that same tension that the first movie gave me. The first movie had me like this, like, oh God, Jesus, what's gonna happen next? This movie, I was just like, all right, that's shady. Okay, white people doing white people things, and then it just ends. So I'm like, oh wow. So first movie was great. Second movie was like I won't say it was bad, but I didn't like it.
You were hoping for some positivity at the end of the film, basically, where there was
like the first movie. I wouldn't say I was happy. I'm like, yeah, he killed all the people. I wasn't like that, but it was just like okay, they're the good guys, and they overcame all these challenges. So and they end on top, and I'm like, cool, that's a nice, satisfying ending. This movie was just like, yeah, Michael just totally destroyed his life. I'm like, okay, how does he fix it? And he was like, oh, he doesn't. See ya. And then he just leave. And I'm like, oh. And I get that some stories end that way. It's just I just don't like it. I don't need like a happy ending all the time, but I need something that makes me feel okay, resolved.
Or feel like the character might actually be redeemed within later on in the film. Right.
Give me something, a little something like, oh, your mom's really not dead. I don't know something. No, not that.
Fredo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to kill you, bro. I didn't mean to kill you. Mom's alive.
Mom came back to life. Now she wants revenge for Fredo. And that leads us into Godfather 3. My biggest concern though is like a lot of people talk mess about Godfather 3, but because I didn't like this movie, I'm worried that I'm gonna like the third one,
Right.
and there's gonna be an angry mob outside my house.
Mm.
Like, how are you gonna like Godfather 3 but not 2? What the hell is that? Oh,
Because
that's all I'm worried about right now.
But here's the thing, though: Godfather 1 and 2 is actually based off of a novel. 3 is its own separate thing without anything context to it.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Fantastic Beast, but the mob edition. but I do have to say this though. When Fredo gets whacked up on the boat, now to me this reminds me of something, basically a little foreshadowing, because you wind up seeing Fredo talking about the time when he felt like he was like right on top when he caught the biggest fish that he had, and you know, basically when someone whacks you, you're thrown to the fishes.
Right.
So therefore, you're a rat. So therefore, you're going to get thrown to the fishes. You're fishing. So therefore, you're going to be thrown to the fishes.
Right.
So that's
now he's sleeping with the fishes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I thought he was going to be, you know, like put overboard or, you know, anchored down or something like that. Obviously, I know he's going to be killed, but that's what I thought. I didn't know that they were going to, you know, shoot him. I just thought they were going to take him way out there and just dump him out there and do that. But
it'd be too easy.
and it was really, really sad, that part. Like, I knew he had to go, but it was sad. Oh, and what was even, you know, really sad to me was him knowing that he's going to die, and he's saying that prayer with the guy sitting behind him. And he goes and he starts saying that prayer because obviously he knows, you know, this is it for me. You know, I'm gone. That was really sad. Also, the part where you're talking about where at the end, you know, you have Michael sitting there, you see his age, you see his gray hair, the lines in his face, he goes to the flashback and it goes off. So I'm, you know, hoping that in 3, you know, maybe he gets it back again. Maybe he's gonna, you know, rise, you know what I mean? Like rise back up. Maybe the wife will come back, you know, it will be different. But me knowing that there's a 3, that's what I'm hoping for, because the way that it went off, it was sad because I didn't want him to lose his family and, you know, all of that. And he did, you know, so hopefully I'm hopeful for 3, but I did like 2. I really enjoyed the side-by-side story and it was very interesting. I liked it.
It definitely was. And, you know, there's also another scene, the scene too, when basically you wind up seeing his sister pleading with Michael and saying, go talk to Fredo.
Right.
You need to talk to Fredo. I don't want to talk to Fredo. Please, Michael, please talk to Fredo. So finally he talks to Fredo.
Right.
But he gives him that tight hug, that tight Italian hug, and he starts patting him down.
Yeah.
So this is why he's patting him down. He's patting him down not because he thinks he has a liar. He's patting him down to see what he's wearing. Because he's actually wearing a bulletproof vest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fredo is wearing a bulletproof vest because he doesn't trust his own brother.
Oh.
So therefore, you know, he's waiting until the day that his brother would actually kill him. So what Michael did with that hug was, he figured, okay, so I need to make it look like that I forgive him.
Right.
When I really don't, and also gain his trust. So what better way to do that? Give your brother a hug, make it look like everything's okay between him, because you're not going to go fishing with a bulletproof vest on.
Right.
It gives him a chance to catch him out off guard.
Right.
So he winds up whacking his own brother. And now there's no one left of the Corleone family but him and his sister.
Right. Yeah, sad.
And there's something else that I want to bring up. And just remember this. In the very first movie with Sonny banging the girl at the wedding,
right,
that he actually produced a son. So that's all I'm going to say in the third. And that's how it opens up in the third film, basically, with some stuff that winds up happening.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm just giving some context to give you guys some setup. I'm
Okay.
not spoiling anything for you. I just want to give you that little bit of setup in case you forgot.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
where did this kid come from? I
Right.
don't remember. Right, because I don't remember Sonny being in a relationship or anything like
Right.
that. But that's what winds up. That's who the kid belongs to.
Interesting. Because I'm also wondering what part three. Obviously, I think, and you don't have to tell us, but I'm
Mm-mm.
thinking that little Michael is going to have a big part in part three because obviously Michael wants more boys, and you find out that the wife who you thought had a miscarriage actually had an abortion because she didn't want to bring any more of his kids, especially boys, into the world. And the relationship that I noticed that Michael had with the son, he was very quiet, but that conversation when Michael goes and tucks his son in and he's like, I want to go with you on business, maybe I can help you. So when he asks his dad that, I'm thinking, oh my God, is this kid going to play a major part in three? The next generation. So I'm really excited to see three.
And here's the thing: I'm glad that this is y'all's first time in experiencing the Godfather trilogy because I like introducing people to classic films. You know me, Rossi. You know
Right.
me, Alex. I like introducing people to new things, and I'm glad that I'm doing this review with you guys
Right.
to be able to do this. So this means so much to me that you guys wanted to do this trilogy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
knew the movie is going to be good. Like we hear about it. I've always heard about The Godfather, but I'm so happy. I can't believe I waited this long to see this film. And I'm happy that I waited because I got to, me and Alex got to experience it for the first time. And you, Mr. Collector's Edition of everything that's good. You know what I mean?
Well,
He
I don't
has
have
the
the.
subtitle edition. Lucky jerk.
You guys, seriously, I am shocked, you guys. Literally, I'm watching it like, wow, they really want us to experience like Italy and them being over here and there's no subtitle. And I wrote that down so I can note this is what I'm going to bring up. I'm going to bring up the fact that I really love the fact that they didn't put any subtitles so that you have to really, be in the film and really try to figure out what they said. I can't believe I end up watching it. Dude, no subtitles, none. So I'm rewinding it so I can figure out what they're saying. I can't believe that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Brandy has never seen any of the Godfather movies either,
Oh
and
my
I told
God,
her
Brandy, when are you gonna
But-
watch it with her?
I am. I'm gonna introduce
That's
it
the
to her. But right now,
responsibility,
we're
John.
watching all the seasons of Stranger Things so she can get caught up for
Okay.
July 2nd. So that's what we're doing right now.
Awesome.
Okay, that's all right. I
Yeah.
just
But-
started watching Stranger Things. Just
Did
started.
you?
I'm on season 2. Yeah, I'm on season 2.
We're on
So
season.
good.
yeah.
Wow.
Season 1, episode 3 for me.
Season
They-
2,
they-
episode 6 for us.
Okay. All right.
So,
Me too.
by the way, I forgot to mention this. I do not own the Godfather 3 Coda edition, which is the special edition because I want that DVD. I want that Blu-ray because it's
Oh
supposed to
my
give you a
God.
different experience with it. Hey,
Okay.
but the other one I have is the 8-hour Godfather.
Really, 8 hours?
Yeah. What it does is it goes on and gives you basically Vito Corleone's story first,
Okay.
and then it goes into Michael's life.
Okay.
And so yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is it
Yeah.
was a lot when I saw intermission and it went and because the version I watched, guys, was it in your version?
Yes.
The
I had
okay, all right. I
too.
want to make sure. All right.
I
Mine just
actually got
said
snacks. Here,
mine just said time to change the disc.
pushes aside to be back. Remember those days? We had disc 1, disc 2. Like, God dog
Right.
it. I gotta
Right.
switch this out. Old school DVD days.
Gosh.
Yeah, did you guys see how much Nancy looks like Stacey Cohen from the 80s?
Oh, Nancy, who is that? The wife?
From the Stranger Things is what
Oh,
she's
okay.
talking about.
Right.
Okay.
The big sister. The big sister that's like 10 pounds. She's so tiny.
She is very tiny.
I'm like, poor thing.
But we might actually have to do a review on Stranger Things once Rossie is done for season 1.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll be down for a season 1.
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Right.
Then, the show, she was, okay,
My
the
Two
person was
Dads.
on My Two Dads. Okay.
Right. I remember that show. Do you guys remember My Two Dads? The pretty girl that was like, I think she was like some orphan or whatever. Anyway, she had 2 dads. They weren't gay. They were just her 2 dads. Read that again, John.
Sorry, she was just giving me orders. But
You better read that, John. You know what? Let's go fishing, John. Let's go fishing.
No, I'm good. I'm safe. I've seen Godfather 2. I don't need to go fishing. That's probably why I don't like the great outdoors. but guys, I do appreciate you guys so much for doing this review. I know it's been 3 weeks since we did Godfather 1. I'm just glad now that we're able to do Godfather 2.
Absolutely.
Godfather 3, I can't wait to hear y'all's opinions on Godfather. It's my entire...
Absolutely, John.
But yeah, I can't wait. But anyways, that's going to do it as far as the show goes and everything, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed our Godfather 2 review. Next Thursday will be our Godfather 3, and then that's going to be it for our Godfather saga. And then after that, Alex is going to be showing us the wonderful world of Avatar. So
Last Airbender, not the Blue People movie.
Nope.
Right.
And not the Last Airbender movie.
Right.
Dear God,
No.
no. The TV show.
No.
Right.
TV show.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for tonight, and I hope everyone has a great and safe night, and we'll catch you on the next one.